All right, hi everybody. We're the Skirmisher Game Development Group, and we are recording a little demo session of Penny's post-apocalyptic adventure for the travel-sized role-playing game called Museum of Unnatural History. So I'll pass it along to Penny to tell you a little bit about what we're about to play.
Uh, hey, everybody. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. If you're running a post-apocalyptic campaign, you can use any background you want, but the background for this particular game is that in 2038, following years of gradual warming and extreme weather, something finally seemed to snap, and there was a year of complete upheaval as the last of the ice caps melted, and there was a dramatic climate tilt that was accompanied by earthquakes and tectonic shifts. The whole thing unrolled very quickly once it started. Precise details of what happened and why and how aren't widely known. But there was a disaster era that followed that brought war and famine and disease, and as what was left of world governments seized control of the remaining resources for the areas that did survive. But now 40 years have passed. Life is still hard, but the world has begun to settle into a new normal, and new and stable governments have begun to emerge. But some areas continue to be controlled by an organized industrial elite, where they have pre-disaster levels of technology, but the power is concentrated in the hands of unscrupulous corporations that have power and resources and no political or ethical oversight. So, in our plucky band of adventurers work for an organization called ORIS, the Office for Research into Unusual Science. They are going to introduce themselves, and but they've been given a tip about some really bad stuff that is being done at a research facility in an old town called Midland. And we are playing with the optional trait rule. So each of the characters has a trait that if they can bring it into gameplay, it gives them bonuses. So go ahead, Amanda. Why don't you start?
Sure. So my character's name is Lark. Their trait is survivalist. They have a physical of 3 and a mental of 2. Lark is basically someone who spent a lot of time rather than trying to make it in post-apocalyptic society, just avoiding it and living in the wilderness instead. They do occasionally come in and take on odd jobs or otherwise try to help, but they're very adept at surviving in extreme conditions. Also, their equipment is a machete, a rifle, and medicinal herbs.
All right. Uh, Brenda, why don't you go next?
All right, I am playing Rhodey. Rhodey's trait is Traveler. He's got a physical of 3 and a mental of 2. His equipment is a spiked baseball bat and motorcycle leathers. He basically he's just a drifter. He goes from place to place, um, doing odd things until the odd things have been exhausted or he gets chased out of town and then moves on to the next spot.
All right. Paul.
Yeah, hi. So I'm ET, and I'm a techie. Uh, I was part of the one of the corporations, probably still am. And as a techie, I fix things: electrical, mechanical, computers. Now, I'm not can't fix everything, but I dabble in everything. So very handy jack of all trades. Physical of 2, mental of 3, and for equipment, I carry a toolkit with a little PDA. I have a big wrench and a rifle with enough ammo for 2 attacks. And my secret ambition is to find the Greys in the mythical Area 51.
Uh, Mike.
I am playing Mr. Christopher, and Mr. Christopher is a genetically engineered German Shepherd. and he's a very good boy who's devoted to helping people traveling along the roadways of the post-apocalyptic wastes. So his physical stat is 2. His mental stat is 3. His equipment is a pair of night vision goggles, which generally is something that wouldn't really give a bonus on a check, but has a narrative effect, i.e. being able to see in the dark. And he has a bag of high protein treats, and he can use them twice each for a +2 bonus. And are we using 2 pieces of equipment each or 3 pieces of equipment each?
Go ahead with 3.
Then he's got an implanted information chip that if I can make the case and the storyteller accepts, we'll give him a bonus on a mental check, presumably for information about the local area or whatever. And then his trait is psychic. So he does have some psychic ability that can manifest.
And for those of you who have only got 2 items so far, there'll be things you can pick up along the way in the adventure, so you can sort of declare it as you go. All right, so you come in from on a coastal highway. It's an old interstate. It's been somewhat maintained by the corporations, so it's a road that you can actually drive on without risk of breaking an axle. You are headed toward what you're told was the old town of Midland, and it's one of the obvious old places. It used to be called a small town. It's located on higher ground to the north of the highway. It's recognizable from a distance, even in its currently ruined state. There is an exit ramp that leads from the interstate down a gravel road into an open area that you can see was once paved, because you can see chunks of the old pavement. It's mostly broken up with young trees and weeds and wild grass and some flowers. It's early spring. Around the edges of this area are individual buildings. The ones that are closest to you, none of them are taller than 2 stories, but they're quite large, some of them. Most of the buildings have no doors or windows, and the roofs have collapsed. Past these low buildings and empty paved areas, you can see some taller buildings, 10 stories, maybe even higher. And past these, you can see the old downtown area sort of in the middle of the distance. It's on higher ground, and it appears to have a sort of the kind of wall that you see in settlements immediately post-disaster. It's built from rubble. To the east, there are rows of collapsing smaller buildings. To the west, there's a large wooded area. The road you're on is graveled, and it angles towards some of the buildings toward the wooded area to the west. So the gravel road is obviously not original, and so I don't know, it's going somewhere. So take it away. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm playing a dog, so I'm going to deliberately limit how much side chatter I engage in.
Right.
And sort of, follow the lead of the human characters to the extent that that seems opportune.
ET seems a little confused by all this, having grown up in arcology, and is kind of happy to tag along the more wilderness behind the more wilderness savvy characters.
E.T. grew up in a corporation city, right?
Right.
Yeah, so.
Well, as long as people seem to be trying to get their bearings, Mr. Christopher is just going to scan the area and see if he notices any movement, anyone watching us, any people lurking about in the ruins, anything like that.
Okay, 15-point mental challenge. You just sort of trying to see what you can.
Well, Mr. Christopher has a mental of 3. He's not going to use any of his high energy treats to boost his senses at this point. I assume his night vision goggles aren't useful in this instance.
Unless you specifically said that you were going to go in at night. Yeah, it's daytime.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
you've driven in with a vehicle.
Right.
okay, got it.
So, but I'm assuming
So
you
he
just sort of
hops out
stopped
of
and you've gotten out
he
to
hops
look
out of the
around.
vehicle and he's looking around. He's got a 15-point mental challenge. He has 3 points of mental to work with. If he were to guess a 9, he'd be successful if the number was as high as 12 or as low as 6. So he'll guess 9.
Okay, well, the number was in fact 6.
Okay.
Uh, so what I've done, for those of you following along, is I've used a random number generator, and I've just written down the random numbers, and I'm crossing them off as I use them. That way, something that's low tech, so you can play it in the car, but it make sure that it's random.
Nice.
You can see toward the edge of the wooded area, there is what you notice from the dog's eye view is that there's a couple of wooden posts sticking up, and there seems to be some kind of a sign on there.
Okay. And obviously that catches my eye for some reason, like it's something that's more recent, or what's drawing my attention.
It's next to the gravel road, so you were sort of scanning ahead on the road just to sort of see this road must be somewhere, right?
He kind of whines and stares in that direction.
I will follow Mr. Christopher's guidance. And what do I see on this sign?
It's a sign. If you head over toward it, it's a faded sign, but still somewhat legible. And the reason it's still somewhat legible is that it was a wooden sign, and the stuff was carved into it, so a lot of the paint is gone. So you can make out "Welcome to Midland," and the text is a little hard to read. But if somebody wants to make a 10-point mental challenge to figure out the map,
sure, I'll go ahead and try.
All right.
Let's see. My mental is only 2.
My traveler trait would be useful, Penny.
Ooh, you know what?
Oh yeah.
All right,
that sounds like
cool. My
that
mental
sounds
is
like
2,
you should
and I've
go
got
for
that
it.
traveler trait, so that would be a 3. It's only a 10, right? So, should in theory be pretty easy. 7.
So if it's a 7, that means that it's going to work on a 4, 5, or 6, a 7, or an 8, or 9, or a 10.
Right.
It is a 9.
Well, cool.
Nice.
So you can make out that the large empty area seems to have been the Midland Shopping Plaza. And there's another large building labeled Midland Natural History Museum. So the intel that you got is that Greypool Corporation was set up in a museum facility, and that there have been some really weird stories.
All right. So now we know where that museum is, and we can head that way, or at least a museum.
There used to be more people in the settlement than there are, and they've pretty much disappeared.
That's ominous. So, okay, then, I mean, that's probably the museum. Is there a bunch of museums on the map? No, right?
No.
Then that's probably
there's other stuff marked toward the downtown. There's the Chamber of Commerce and various things.
Okay.
The Midland Hilton.
So does that give us a sense for which of the roads that are available to us is the one to take?
You can see that the gravel road that you're it gets smaller, but it heads into the woods in the direction of where it says the museum is.
Oh, gravel road then.
Mr. Christopher will go on foot at this point because they're not going to be moving very fast in the car. And when they get to the area where they pass under the sign, he's just going to sort of, is it woods around there?
Yes.
He's just going to trot through the woods along the edge of the road rather than ride in the car with them as they make their approach to the presumptive museum.
So we're at the map now, and the
Map.
I was the the direction you can see here. The direction the road brings you in on is here.
Okay.
And it leads to the parking lot of a large single-story building. As with the shopping plaza, you can tell this area was once paved, but a lot of trees and weeds have taken over. The one exception is that right next to the building there is a gravel parking pad, and there are 3 parked vehicles. There's a panel van, a half-ton truck, and an SUV. All 3 vehicles are locked.
Oh, okay. So this looks like
And
vehicles that are in current use or relatively current use.
well, if you people want to start making some
Yeah. So
mental
ET, this is
challenges, I'll tell you how much you get for it.
okay. Well, ET will use this techie trait to determine when they were, if they've been used recently, and then
Yeah, that'll
and if they
definitely.
haven't, then to try to get in if they're locked or just open them. And he's a bit paranoid, so he'll check the vehicles just to make sure there aren't any booby traps or anything.
All right. There's a 15-point mental challenge. I think you've got normally a 3, but you definitely can have the bonus to giving you a 4. So that gives
Can I
you a pretty
use
good
my
range.
toolkit too?
Yes, actually.
Okay. All right. I get
Well,
out my
actually,
magnifying glass and my dental picks and all those things that I can use to get through the
all right.
locks.
So that gives you a really big range. So that's a good use of your equipment.
Mr. Christopher can't really help with this, but he is just keeping an eye on the surrounding area so that nothing sneaks up on the party while they're farting around with the vehicles.
All right.
So I guess you said 15 point?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to go with a 1, which wraps around.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll give us an 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So.
Oh, well done. This one's a 2.
Oh, nice.
So far, you guys are good. So far, you guys have been bang on with your. I thought, 2, they might not get this one because you
have good
try and
instincts.
cover the middle. But so there's strategies in the numbers that you pick, obviously. All right,
Sure.
so the vehicles are covered in dead leaves and other natural detritus, and the tires are next thing to flat.
Oh, they've been sitting here for a minute.
So they're not currently in running condition, and ET, you can actually pop the hoods and you realize that it's just dead batteries. The important thing is you think these could pretty easily be repaired. The other thing is that these are old school gas powered vehicles, which makes them corporate. And because in the remoter areas, any vehicles that you see are sort of cobbled together and have been altered to run on other fuels. And in the areas where democratic government and so on has been reestablished, there's other power sources available. This is old style gas powered vehicles.
Got it.
Okay.
So you can look in through the windows, and there's food wrappers, there's obvious stuff, empty beverage containers, napkins, sunglasses, and you mustn't read too much into what is in my car based on this list. Old receipts.
The kind of crap you normally find in a car.
The back of the half ton's got a toolbox with some odds and ends of tools. There's spare tires, jacks, tire irons. And to find anything else, you're going to actually have to get into the car. So there is going to be a 10-point physical challenge to get into the cars. Oh, hang on. Actually, I misread my own notes. You can 15-point mental, or if you just want to smash the windows, that's a 10-point physical.
Well, the cars are in good shape, so let's start with the mental, and then we can always break the windows if we have to. Well, it would. So if I can still use my techie and toolkit and my 3-point, I mean, I pretty much should be able to open all these cars, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just open the cars with the 10. Is it 10-point mental?
It's
15.
15.
Oh, 15. Sorry. So for each of the cars, I'm just going to keep it simple and go with a 10, which should cover me from 5 to 15
Hmm.
for each car.
The that gets you into the panel van and the half-ton truck, but not the SUV.
Okay.
But the SUV has a key ring on the floor on the passenger side. And when you bend down to get the keys from the passenger side, you see a box poking out from underneath the passenger side front seat.
But I can't get in. I just see this.
Oh, no. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All
Sorry. That was the one you
right.
couldn't get into, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got a big wrench, so the big wrench is going to meet the passenger side window, and
Always good to have a backup big wrench.
And Mr. Christopher is smart for a dog, but he is still a dog. But part of his lore was that he'd always heard that people kept puppies in panel vans for some reason. So he gets concerned that the puppy might get scared when the window open.
Oh,
So he comes trotting over in case there's a puppy he has to protect or comfort.
Sadly, there are actually it's probably good there are no puppies in the panel van because you can tell from the receipts that that nobody has been into these. The most recent receipt is from 2 months ago.
okay. So what do we want to start with, the SUV, the half-ton truck, or the panel van? The SUV we have to break into. The other two we've already gotten into.
Let's just look into the ones that we got into.
Okay, so we'll start with the panel van. Let's look through that.
I've already actually told you the stuff.
Oh, that was
in the
it.
panel van.
That was it.
That was what was in the panel.
There's tire irons, car jacks, spare tires, all
Got
kinds of tools,
And no puppy.
garbage.
No,
But there seems to be, if you look in through the window, you can see that the SUV, that there's keys on the floor of the SUV.
Okay. Well, unless somebody else has an idea, let's just break the window and get the keys and see if they're to the SUV or to something else.
Yeah, good idea.
I'm for smashing at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not the strongest person, so if somebody else wants to take over.
I'd be happy to smash a window.
All right.
I'll help. I've got a spiky baseball bat, and so yeah, I'll assist and add.
We're just having a great time smashing stuff.
I'm guessing the
you know what? I'm not even going to make you guys guess a number. If you can't break a window with the equipment you've got, then you then you should have stayed home. So yeah, you can smash a window to get in.
Okay,
sounds good. You can see a key ring and and there's a box poking out from underneath the passenger side front seat.
Oh, I want to check out this box.
The box has in it a Colt 45 pistol.
Oh.
And there's a half box of ammunition.
Nice.
Somebody can use that it'll give them basically a bonus, a +2 bonus to their physical if they use it.
Right. I already have a firearm. Does Rhodey have one? I forget.
Rhodey does not have a firearm. No.
All right. Well, this is all yours then.
And I believe Rhodey is one of the people who only has 2 things.
Okay.
Yeah. You should definitely have something on you. We don't know what we're walking into in there.
Sure.
All right. So let's talk about the building itself. I haven't given you much of a description.
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd, kind of vaguely triangular shape. It's the museum building is constructed of a reddish-brown stone, and it's in good condition. In front of the main entrance, you see some stumps of some pillars. It looks like there was some kind of a structure on the front or an overhang, and it's gone. You can also see a glass structure rising up behind the museum building. The front of the building, which is where you're standing, and actually let's move
Butterfly
Glass
house.
move
Hmm?
your.
Sorry, Brenda.
I'm gonna move your dots
No, the only
because
big glass structures I know of at natural history museums are the big butterfly houses.
Yeah, or I was thinking a greenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Or you know, what do they call it? An arboretum, where they would have like
Yep.
plants and trees and stuff.
Mhm.
Could be for that too.
Yeah.
and yeah, so these are all kind of reasonable guesses.
Sometimes they also just have like the cafe is like all just glassed in too,
That's
you
true.
know.
Yeah,
The
no, good
play
point.
area with the sticky slides and seesaws.
Right.
So but the front of the building, which is why I put the little colored dots, because it's
Yeah.
a big map and it wasn't going to fit very well in this medium. I just give you dots just so that I could fit everything onto one.
Got it.
And so Mr. Christopher is the orange dot, Lark is the yellow dot, ET is the green dot, and Rhodey is the blue dot. So feel free to move your characters around if you want. There's no turn structure, obviously, but it sort of gives you a sense of what you can see from where you're standing.
Yeah, for sure.
Now the front of the building features a serious-looking set of steel double doors. These are obviously not original.
Oh, they're not glass doors. We can't see in.
Yeah, the areas above the door and to each side are of sort of an ugly brown stucco over some concrete and rebar that you can kind of see in where the stucco is kind of cracked off. There are a number of small windows. This all looks more recent than the rest of the building, and so that's what you can see from where you're standing. You've got the front doors, the doors right in front of you, but you could also walk around to see what's around the rest of the building.
Sure.
Are the doors right in front of us locked?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, actually,
How do they respond to baseball bats?
Lark, since you mentioned it, make a 15-point mental.
Sure. Okay. So let's see. My mental is only 2. I'll go with an 8.
That does not do it.
Dang. Okay.
So yeah, they're doors.
They're doors and they're locked.
And they're locked.
Okay. Well, I guess we already did that. I'm going to walk around the right side of the
You
building.
can examine the doors. If we don't do a challenge cooperatively, we can do it individually.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at the doors as well, see if maybe, whether they're locked from the inside in a way that would prevent me from opening them, or whether I could just try with my tools and stuff.
As ET starts examining the door, I tell him they're locked.
Does that give ET a +1 because Amanda's now assisting ET?
I'm not assisting. I'm just being a smartass.
I just wanted to remind the party that one person can be a primary on a challenge and somebody else can assist and give them a +1 and maybe even more than a +1 if their own equipment would help. So it's just to keep in mind when we get tougher challenges that we can work together on them. It's just that you run the risk of, if there's a bad outcome, everybody who's assisting on the challenge would suffer the effects of the bad outcome. So
so go ahead, ET. You can make try for the 15-point mental challenge.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll use my techie. 35. So I'll go with a 1 again. So I think that was a 11 through 6.
Actually, the number is a 3. So
okay.
You notice that there are security cameras with blinking lights.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear this sort of anemic sounding alarm coming from the inside. If you know what I mean, did you understand what I mean? That it's
mm-hmm.
It's just sort of, instead of being a klaxon, it's just kind of like instead of being really loud. It's
like it's dying.
Yeah, like it's a tired alarm. It's been going for a long time.
Okay.
So we didn't set it off. It's been going off.
It's been going.
Okay.
Given your technical background, the security cameras have blinking lights, but there's been something. There's an alarm going off from the inside, and I'll give it to you. Like I said, given your background, that it.
Okay.
So somehow this place is being powered somehow or other. So there's still power going to the place.
Probably solar panels.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell the party. So I used
All
to fix these things back at the corporate headquarters, and they last hundreds of hours before they start to sound like this and need the tune-up. So
Oh
this
wow.
has been going off for a while, I would think.
So the doors are locked.
So were we not able to pick the lock? Were we not able to get through these doors?
Well, don't we have what were the keys that we found in the SUV?
What a very good question.
That's a great
Great
question.
question.
One of the keys is to the SUV, but there are some other keys, and some of them look like they might be keys that open doors,
Oh.
facility doors.
But these are not utility doors.
You don't know till you try.
Okay. Well,
Try the
I'll let
keys on
somebody
the
else.
door.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When Mr. Christopher hears keys jingling, it releases an endorphin rush and it pleases him.
Mr. Christopher's wagging his tail. With a little bit of trial and error, you find that yes, indeed, one of the keys does open the front door.
Hooray.
So that means that you are in
Good
a front
job.
reception area.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
So before we go in, do we want to glance around both sides of the building? At least look down the sides just to make sure we're not missing something big, or do we just want to go in?
I think the question sort of begs itself. I think that's probably a good idea.
And what was a loaded question? So.
Well, Mr. Christopher picks up on E.T.'s apprehensions because he is psychic, of course. So he'll follow E.T. whichever direction E.T. goes in to peek around the corner so that he can assist him in that, help spot for him.
All right. Which direction do you go?
Well, to start with, let's just go over to the left here. And I'm not proposing like walking around the whole building.
Okay.
Just going to the corner and looking and seeing what I can see. Maybe even get a little more detail on that glass cafeteria area.
Well, I will shrink it a little bit. You should be able to see some parts of it.
Oh, okay.
And my very high-tech map revealing.
It's perfect.
So what you'll see is if you walk around the building to the left, there's an area that comes to an exit here. It looks like a fire door.
Okay.
But it only opens from the inside. Although you figure if you tried to, you could probably manage to get in if you pry it open like with a pry bar or something.
Well, I don't see any point in that because we already have a way in. So okay, but we know there's an exit here.
And from here, you can actually get a look at the enclosure. And you're not so sure it was its original. So if you go, but you could probably go a little closer.
Sure. Let's go over to here. I don't want to get closer than I need to, just close enough to see what's in it.
All right. I'm going to. What you can see that it's an all glass enclosure. It's filled partway up with looks like soil and clay, and the rest of it seems to have, from where you can see, it's sort of it looks like it's got trees and shrubs and grass and weeds in there, like a big terrarium. And
okay.
Somebody can make a 25-point mental check.
Ow.
25-point mental check?
Yep.
Do you want to try that, Mr. Christopher?
I I guess I can try
Who's
that.
the very smartest doggy you can do?
Okay, so
You might
E.T.
want to actually join forces on this one.
Well, ET and I are together, and the fact that I'm psychic means that I want to try to tap into his perceptions of things too, if I can do
Ooh.
that.
Okay.
Can I get a +1 from him for helping?
Yes.
Can I have a +1 for my psychic because it's obviously a relevant narrative effect here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's +2. My mental is 3. That gives me a +5. Does my information chip implant help at all?
Oh,
Because it might
yes.
refer to
Yes,
characteristics.
it specifically does. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, so that would give me, and I assume my night vision goggles don't help.
No, those don't help.
So I'm getting +1 for ET. Well, my base is 3 mental. Then I get 1 for my information chip that takes me up to a 4. 1 for being psychic that takes me up to a 5. And then I'm specifically having ET help me, and that takes me up to a 6.
Yeah.
So
It's a really hard one, but I wanted to give you a chance to.
and it's 25-point mental.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go with. Let's see. I've got a range of 6. I'm gonna guys. What do you think of going with a 17 on this? So it'll go from 11 to 23. Does that track for y'all?
Sure.
I'll do
Sure.
that. I'll try.
Me.
I'll go for that 17.
And the number was 23.
Well, he is a psychic dog. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing that really tipped it in your favor was the information chip.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten it otherwise because we
this
got
is-
it exactly within the
This is a
threshold.
substance that is neither glass nor plastic. It is an unknown material. It's not in your database.
Oh, but it's transparent.
It's transparent.
Huh.
You can't tell how thick it is because you're not close enough, but you can just sort of tell the way the light is sort of refracting off of it that's an unknown material.
You don't need that for a cafeteria.
And given that you're
Cafeterias almost
investigating
never have unknown materials in their construction.
given that you're investigating a corporation that's been doing some research, that might
Presumably, this material confirms the fact that we're probably at the right museum facility at this point. All right. Well, I convey this to my friends, not verbally, but just in sort of visual terms, so that they'll all be in the loop on what's going on. As part of all this, this very tough challenge that we deserve rewards on, do we see any movement going on inside this enclosure?
not from where you're standing.
Okay, well, I'm not going to break from the party and run up there on my own. If the inclination of the party is to go and try to look in, we can do that. Otherwise, I'll go back to the lobby, seeing as people have started to head in. So I'm good.
Looking through the not glass.
What's that, Brenda?
Let's look in through the not glass.
Okay. Then I start trotting in that direction, having kind of picked up on that at least a couple of my companions will follow in that direction too. And let me move my little orange token here.
I actually would like to go around the other side because no one's gone around this way yet. So I just want to make sure that I scope that out.
There is a fire door on the fire exit door on the end on that side, matching the fire exit that was on the left-hand side.
Okay.
And the other thing that you'll notice as you go along the side of the building is that there are windows that have been covered.
Okay. Interesting.
You can see like where there were, the frames from where there were windows, but they're covered from the inside with
Okay.
Something metallic. All right, so
ET's got a splitting headache from being mind probed by a canine, so he's gonna linger back a bit with his just cover his friends with his rifle.
His mind probe feels like the nuzzling caress of a dog's muzzle.
Yeah, the back of his neck feels very itchy. Wishes somebody would come scratch it, and he has a hankering for
A
some
belly rub.
pork rinds. Yeah, belly rub.
Hey, good luck scratching your ears with your hind leg. Okay.
Yeah, my
when you
physical's
get,
only 2. I don't think I can manage that.
yeah.
Right.
The gene splicing is the answer. Okay. You'll see once you're up close, you can see that it's quite thick, but very transparent and cool to the touch.
Okay.
From around where you are, you can see like shrubs and trees and so on. And so so in this case, I'm going to get somebody to make a 15-point mental for the group, but it's going to represent luck as much as anything. As to whether you see anything moving, and Lark, you're on the other side, so you can make a separate roll.
Okay.
Roll, pardon. We get
So
so
what
used
you're
to the
saying
terms,
is
right?
there's something to see.
I mean, maybe.
That's what I'm hearing.
So, give me a 20-point mental.
Oh my. I only have a 2. I'm by myself. 14.
The number was 13.
Ah! Aha!
You can see a through the trees. You can see that it's clearer in the middle, and you see a person, and they're carrying a bucket. And they're quite beat up looking. They're sort of ragged and thin, and is going down into a hole that's dug into the ground.
Okay, I'm gonna wave and try to get their attention.
The I'm going to say that that's not possible. In this case, you see him as he's going down into the ground.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, that was strange.
And so those of you who you can do you can check it as a group or as one at a time.
Check it as a group.
I'll assist if I can. So.
All right.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So ET can assist just by
Yeah, I'll peer down the barrel, the sights of my rifle, and kind of scan the inside.
Mr. Christopher, are your night vision goggles? Do they react? Are they seeing based on heat signatures?
I would say no. I could try to BS you, but I'd say that I envision them as being based on light enhancement. But I'd say they're probably next generation. So if there's darkened areas, I would like to think they'd give him a bonus into peering into them. So if something's concealed.
No, it's not so much that it's dark. It's just that there's a lot of brush in the way, like trees and shrubs and long grass and things.
No, I'd say they're not heat based. I'd say they're light enhancement based. Okay. To be honest. So who's the primary on this check? Is it ET? Hello?
ET's not the one who's closest to, so that it would be either.
Yeah, I would think it's either
you or Rhodey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll assist Rhodey then. So I can give a +1 for that. Does my psychic trait or my night vision goggles help Rhodey at all?
Your psychic trait will help in this case.
Okay, so I'm giving Rhodey a +2 on their check.
So Rhodey, I think you've got a total of +5.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
What's the range?
20.
Mr. Christopher whines as a free action.
So, what's your
10?
10?
Sure.
A 10 is not going to do it. Sorry. The number was 1.
Ah.
I should have gone with my original guess.
Darn.
I like the wraparound rule actually because this gives you more strategies.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Right.
think of that until Brenda mentioned it. So
Sure.
yeah.
Well, I was going to guess 16, which would have covered one, but I didn't. So
All right. Well, I'm gonna continue making my way around until I meet back up with everybody.
Okay.
And when I do, I'm gonna say, did you all see anything in there?
Mr. Christopher shakes his head no.
no.
Like how the dog is trying to communicate with me.
They're imitative.
Right. Well, I did see something. I saw a person. There was somebody in there, but they didn't. I tried to get their attention, but they didn't see me.
Huh.
They went down into a hole and they looked like they were in really rough shape. I don't know, something weird's going on in there.
I might throw out that this material, this unknown material, it's transparent, but it might be transparent one way. You might have been able to see them, and they might not have
Oh.
been able to see you. I don't know
I
that
don't
to be
think
the case,
right.
but
I don't think they were looking in my direction, but that could be the case. That might be what's happening. Hadn't even thought of that.
Oh wait, there's an easy way to check. Can we see through it? When we look through it, can we see through the other side
the
of
other
it?
side.
Oh.
Sort of. They sort of like you know what it's like when you're underwater and you look up.
Mm-hmm.
These sort of a
Mm,
shimmery. You can sort of see things through it, but it's shimmery.
okay. So there's a heavy amount of distortion looking out through this.
Got it.
Okay. Good to know.
So we've still only got one way in, but we did open
Only
the front
one way,
door.
only one way in, but there's several other exits, which is good to know.
Yeah.
And we don't need to try to force one of them open. I mean, we might have been able to if we hadn't already got through the front door, but we might as well take the path of least resistance at this point.
Yeah.
Right. To the front door.
Okay. The you go through the front door of the museum. Actually, there's a front reception area with a guard station. When you first opened the doors, the air was stale in here, but I think you opened them and then decided to go and investigate elsewhere, so it's less stale than it was. But it's lit only by emergency lights. So, Mr. Christopher, your night vision goggles will help. There is an alarm going off, but it sounds muffled, like I said. There are cheerful wall posters proclaiming, "Welcome to Test Facility Midland," and "Bioengineering for a Brighter Tomorrow." There are, and you're going to see that there's doors. There's this guard station desk, and there's a door here, a door here, and a door here. That bioengineering for a brighter tomorrow, I actually saw that like as a poster in an airport. I couldn't believe it.
Straight out of Brave New World.
And the guard station has got a computer with 3 monitors, and there is a heavy cabinet you can't see it very well here, but it's in behind.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And the cabinet the doors are hanging open. It is a gun safe. It's got a rifle and a box of shells, and there are empty slots for other rifles. The guard station, like I said, it's got a computer with 3 monitors. One of the monitors has a scrolling message. It says, "Lockdown in effect. Please exit the building." The entire
Oh.
facility is lit by emergency lights. So That's what you see from here.
Okay. So
Are
something
any of the
happened.
computers responsive?
Do you what do you try to do?
Well, I will. I'll use the keyboard and touchpad or mouse or
Yeah.
whatever the interface is to
Yeah.
see if I can
Okay.
get to the main
Make-
menu or maybe
Make
get
that
into
annoying alarm stop.
Smart.
It's prompting you for an admin password.
we need a password. I grew up in a corporate environment, so I'll look around the desk to see if there's a password written on a sticky note or something similar.
And
Try all your basic passwords. Password.
it's a 15-point
admin.
mental.
Say that again. Sorry.
15-point mental.
Oh,
Can I help him spot for this? I've got my night vision goggles, so if there's something like hidden in the shadows or under the desk or something, why are you shaking your head, Amanda? It's a cooperative game.
Because you're a dog.
No, I'm gonna rule it out this time.
There
See,
you go.
you did this.
Oh, yeah.
you can't
just
sniff
saying.
out every clue, Mr. Christopher. Okay, so I assume my techie helps though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go with a 12, which goes from 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, from 8 to 1.
And it's a 2.
Oh.
Ah,
Hang on, wait. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong list. So you guessed what?
no.
I was looking at the list for difficulty 20, and this is a 15.
I
Oh.
guessed the 12, which covers me from 8 to
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, so it's a 9.
So it worked.
So
Okay.
it doesn't actually
Nice.
take a lot of looking. You look in the desk, and underneath the sort of various pieces of junk that accumulate in these kinds of desks, you find a piece of paper with a word "science gods" in leet speak. So it's $C13NC3. Anyway,
Nerds.
so
Okay.
you're in
I'll
familiar,
enter that in
he's in
and
familiar territory. All right, so it
then
takes you through a dialogue. It's like, end lockdown ?
we want to do this.
Well, I would like the annoying alarm to stop. If
Are
that's
we
what
the
you have
night
to do
access to the rest of the building at this point? Are all those other doors that go further into the building locked?
I would guess if the place is locked down.
Well, if we want to, I mean, our mission is to figure out what's going on. So
Sure. So I'll end the lockdown.
All right. The anemic alarm stops. You'll be happy to know, Lark. Regular lights come on, and you hear a sudden whirring, which may cause you a moment or two of alarm until you realize that those are ventilation fans.
Oh, okay.
And the monitors power up to show a number of things, but they also show the following labeled camera views. There's one view that's parking lot. There's one that's labeled Test Subject Gray Pool 1. There's Lab 2 and Lab 3.
Okay.
So the parking lot shows just where you came from. So you've already seen that. Test Subject Gray Pool 1, you have a camera that's looking into an observation station with a large glass window into something. But it's set up with a desk and a chair facing the large window. The Lab 2 camera shows a room with whiteboards, desks, filing cabinets, tables with racks of equipment. In the center of the room, there is a large glass cube that is 3/4 of the way filled with something. Lab 3, the camera shows another lab that's larger than than Lab 2, but instead of a glass cube, it's got the sort of plastic glass stuff of the terrarium forms one entire wall of the lab.
okay.
Oh.
And when you look at it, there is a hole visible on the bottom right side of the glass wall, and some of the furniture seems to be knocked over.
A hole that like shouldn't be there, like a hole that's not part of the construction.
Yeah, it's sort of an irregularly shaped hole coming from the dirt part of the terrarium.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Hmm.
So these are all areas that we can't access yet, or that we haven't accessed yet. We're just seeing them on the monitor.
Yeah, and you've got,
Right.
in addition to the front door, you've got 3 doors. You've got one that's behind the desk and one on each side of the reception room, front reception room.
All right. Well, which way do we want to go, folks?
My inclination would be to either go left or right because we know there's exits in those directions.
That's
So
a good
smart.
point.
You mean in case we have to bust a move and exit?
That
In
would be
case
my
whatever
thought.
we
Yeah.
run into requires us to
And
exit.
That's really smart.
And it's I don't want to kill the game early, but it's getting kind of late for some folks.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, we can pick it up from here next time.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. We'll do just that. Thank you, Penny.
Thanks, Penny.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm not sure when you stopped